Okay, my discourse is going to be on the subject of um, Meyer Baba. Meyer Baba was a bona fide spiritual master in the opinion of many. I never met Meyer Baba. I was about to listen to a lecture of the discourses of Meyer Baba, and my friend Mr. Quimby suggested that I give a lecture before I listen to Meyer Baba because he feels that I can give a more clear channel than if I've been disturbed by listening to someone else. So that is See Me, which means I get all of my personality out of the way before I'm going to talk. So you don't see me, and I'm sorry, but the dog next door is barking and barking and barking. So Meyer Baba was famous for helping out people who were what were called God intoxicated. And it was because he was a very clear channel for God that he could help these other ones who were intoxicated. Now, intoxicated, usually to my mind, sounds like someone who's like drank, I don't know, a 26-ounce bottle of booze and is completely drunk, intoxicated, can't walk, can't function, can't talk, intoxicated. So if you're in that same condition, but not from drinking, simply from being intoxicated by God, if you're going to come back and function in this world, you have to have your intoxication removed. So that is what Meyer Baba was all about for some people. For other people, he gave these discourses, and it's said that he saw two bona fide spiritual masters on his own and numerous other people. So in his discourses, he was talking about mind, spirit, and matter. Spirit is what we would call God, although all of us are made of spirit. So, some commentator said some people have read some of these books that say, well, if you say the mantra, I am God, you read a book that says, I am God, and then you said, well, I read that and now I know I am God, that you are sadly misled, because the only way you would know you are God is if you had the triple O's, according to Ernest Holmes, who wrote a number of books, very good books. But Dr. Holmes said that the qualities of God are omnipotence, which is all power, omniscience, which is all knowing, and omnipresence, which is being everywhere. Well, if you ask me a question, I know that there's things that I cannot answer for you. So I don't feel like I've got any of those qualities. So I will say I am not God. Then I am reminded of the two books made by Leonard Nimoy, who was the first actor who played Mr. Spock on Star Trek. The first one was I Am Not Spock, and then his second book was I Am Spock. Anyways, I'm going to go with I Am Not God. But I still feel that there is that activity of God available. There's another book that I was also about to peruse, and it had something to do with um, the Ouroboros symbol, and it had to do with alchemy and Carl Jung, perhaps, and it was awakening the deity. Now, I haven't read the book, but to me, what that means is that you have got this God within you, and the apparent apparently God within you is asleep. So you are to wake it up. And then I'm thinking of Pandora's box, because if you do awake the deity, it is like Pandora who opens her box and lets out all kinds of things that she didn't know was in there, and perhaps it wasn't such a good idea after all. In the Well, I imagine it started in India, but New Age people are always talking about the chakras, the seven chakras, the main ones, and then some of these New Age people talk about other ones that are above your head, and then some that go below your feet, and little mini chakras in different parts of your body, besides along the main channel. There is no idea that does not have something to do with where am I. Where, because that gets to the root of what is a human body. Because if you are talking in the midst of a human body, then that is a place where you have put the human body. It's, generally speaking, somewhere near planet Earth. I'm not going to talk about humanoids on other planets and space stations and things because I cannot confirm that they exist. You can use the equations that tell you, looking at so many stars and galaxies, that it's highly unlikely that there aren't beings on other planets. But I'm not going to go there because I don't have a spaceship and I can't actually go and check it out with my own eyes. And then somebody will say, well, even with your own eyes, there's optical illusions, etc., etc. So anyway, I just prefer not to talk about things that I'm not personally experienced with, because I can get into very long arguments. And this is something that someone in their 30s does. They read newspapers and The Economist magazine, and as Sadhguru put it when he was talking about artificial intelligence, all it means is you read the book or the Economist magazine 5 years before someone else did. And his idea is simply there's way more PhD level information available right here on your smartphone than there is in the average PhD. So, don't get your knickers in a knot because you've got a PhD and somebody comes along without a PhD but is more well read than you, and they've got perhaps a better grasp of things. But it would only be the God mind that has read everything, and I would give you wrote everything. Anyway, back to Meyer Baba. The spirit being God and the mind is pretty much, well, I was going to say a human thing, but then I thought of dogs, and they do have a mind. So you have to go, even trees apparently have got intelligences, The Secret Life of Plants. So you could go to Dr. Burke's book, Cosmic Consciousness, which was published in about 1901, and he basically set out the differences between types of consciousness. And in his mind, The human mind was one that was conscious that it was conscious. Whereas a dog, he didn't feel like it was aware that it was aware. I think Dr. Burke was really overstretching himself. I don't know how you could do that. Now, there has been some work with some other animal species, dolphins, for example, and, chimpanzees. And are they aware that they are aware? I don't know. You'd have to look it up to see what they determined. I'm just going to say that Dr. Buck in 1901, I don't know where he got this insight from, and I think he's on very shaky ground there to say that a dog doesn't know that it's aware. Any time you've spent with dogs, I mean, some people say, well, they're very trainable. But, the dogs that I had were highly untrained, so they're basically personalities. So, and that's what, I've noticed it with humans. Humans that are infants have got a certain personality. They come into the world, and every baby has got a personality when they're born. What am I getting at? Am I getting at that a dog with a personality, how are you going to say that dog is not self-aware? Because it can't talk in English? I mean, there's certain things a dog just can't do because it doesn't have the vocal cords to do it. But it has got incredibly good intuition, and no one can say that dogs aren't capable of vast love. So to say that a dog is not, up to par as a human, well, I mean, I don't expect that a dog is going to read a book, listen to a lecture. I know some dogs love to watch the news, or they love the noise of the news, and they'll go attentively looking, or they'll watch stories on television about dogs. So, I mean, how are you going to do it? Perhaps if you took peyote cactus, there was a story by Carlos Castaneda of when he took peyote and he was convinced that he was a bird. Okay, and then the last part of Meyer Baba's beginning of his discourses was about material, so the physical. It is a great mystery, the physical, because after you look at all the physics, the quantum physicists that are completely saying, if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. The idea that originally the first physicists were thinking back to ancient Greeks, perhaps it was Aristotle or Plato or somebody that said everything was made of particles, but when they looked at the particles, they found that it really wasn't there at all. Nothing is there. So, I mean, I always jump over and say, well, there's nothing physical. You have to let go of that. That's like 1700s type of physics, Newtonian physics, and even get past the quantum physics because no one can really understand it. And then I say what you're looking at is thought forms, because you've got a mind, and thoughts arise in mind. And if you're using your mind and you're looking, I'm going to tell you that put two and two together, what you're looking at are thought forms. You've got a mind, and thoughts arise in mind. So you, with your mind, are looking at thought forms. Hello, thought form. Now, some people will say, well, if you see a hat in your mind's eye, when you close your eyes and you're using your imagination, that is the thought of a hat. But this physical hat is not just the thought of a hat, it is a materialized hat. So they would say that's not the same thing. The thing is that, even if this was a solid physical object, when you look at it with your eyes, you look at it and you see this hat, your eyes take the light and it's translated in your brain into electromagnetic signals through your neurons, and the pattern in your brain gets together and says, well, what you're looking at is this. But that all goes on inside your noggin. So, what is your noggin dealing with? It's dealing with the pattern of neural activity that goes about when you are considering a hat. Now, whether the hat is in your imagination or on your so-called head is only a matter of location. But as far as what the brain sees, it's tagged this one as being external to the body and on the head, and the one, in your imagination is in your imagination, but it's still a hat. So it's a bit of a jump to say that what you're seeing in the physical here is a hat and only a hat. But what else could it be? To review, there is nothing going on here except thought forms. That's the only thing your mind can understand are thought forms, or complete silence and vast emptiness without thought forms. And then I'm trying to speculate, if you were God, would you see anything beyond thought forms with your God mind? It's an excellent question. If you can find a realized, bona fide spiritual master who is God realized and has got the powers of God, then you can ask that question. Jot it down. You never know when you're at your local pub when someone's going to walk along and just look like a normal human, but be completely beyond intoxication with God and actually have access to God's mind. And you're going to ask him that question. I'm sorry, I don't even remember the question. It was something to do with, God, what do you experience besides thought forms through your mind? You see me, because all you're seeing is a thought form on your screen, and your screen and your smartphone is a thought form to your brain, in your mind, inside your brain. But sometimes you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. So if you want to read Meyer Baba, I saw one copy on the internet for approximately $30 plus shipping. But there are some YouTubes that you can listen to for free with someone talking, reading what Meyer Baba said. Apparently, Meyer Baba at one point said, okay, for now on, I am not going to speak. And he then used kind of a Ouija board to spell out words. And beyond that, he just started waving his hand, and that was all he said. I heard of another person who was like that, Sherman Dudois, who was a practitioner of the Hawaiian art of massage called Lomi Lomi. And Mr. Dudois at some point decided that he had spoken enough and he was not going to speak anymore. There is a DVD on Sherman Dudois. One time I had it when I lived in another city and along the way I've lost it. If you're interested in Lomi Lomi and you're looking for a good video, Mr. Dudois' video is excellent. And if you contact me, I could possibly put you in touch with someone who might be able to get you a copy of that. I can also put you in touch with other people who might have some interesting insights into Lomi Lomi massage. And if you are interested, please contact me. And I guess that is the end of my lecture. You see me now, and now you don't. I am Harry Weaver, your narrator for all things interesting and long-winded.